everyone, this is Dr. Ahmed Ergin from Sugar MDs. Today we are going to talk about how many carbs should I eat per meal. Extremely common question, and we are going to try to reply to this question. It's not going to be one single answer, but I think at the end of the video you will have an idea about how much carb you should eat. So before we move on to the video, please subscribe and give a thumbs up if you like the video. And when we get down to, or up to actually, 30,000 subscribers, we are going to start making patient cases. That's going to be real patients, real life situations, and how we treat our patients, and that's going to be extremely useful. Now, when it comes to this topic today, we are going to talk about is how many carbs you can eat based on your gender, your age, your activity status, and your diabetes duration and severity. Now, in this case, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you have been a diabetic for 20 years, and you are 65-year-old, and you are a woman, and you are on 3 oral medications, and you're on 1 long-term or basal insulin, whatever you call it, or slow-acting insulin. You're on 3 oral agents and 1 insulin. You're 65, you're inactive, you have hip problems, you have joint problems, you are generally sitting at home, you're really not doing anything much, and you're on medications, and you are around 230 pounds. I would consider that an obese. So in this case, how many carbs should you eat, right? My answer to that is very little. Very little, because you're going to be, I can imagine you as being very insulin resistant, and anytime you eat very little carbs, you are going to skyrocket. Now, when I say very little, what I mean by that? I mean maybe 20 to 30 grams of carbs per meal, and that's very generous. And the reason I say it's very generous is because, you're really not burning anything. Yes, I know, if you may want to eat more, that's the only thing you enjoy nowadays, and I understand that. But if you want to eat more carbs, you're going to need more medications. And sometimes more medications may mean more side effects, but we have a lot of ways, especially at Sugar MDs, we have different ways to help our patients. But if you want to use medications in addition to what you're already on, then I would suggest, you can go up to maximum, and that's maximum 45 grams of carbs for a woman at that stage, and you may end up needing insulin as well. Of course, we have a lot of non-insulin medications we can use, but depending on your activity level, again, we have an exercise video. Check it out. It's there. Basically, even for very inactive people or people with disabilities or joint problems, we have ways to get them to exercise one way or the other. But if you're really not exercising, you're really looking for 20 to 30 grams of carbs, and if you want to force it, 45 grams max. So it is very hard to tell these patients not to eat any carbs. They're just not going to listen. I'm sure there are some people right now watching this video and saying that, oh, this doctor is recommending eating a bunch of carbs. Listen, you may be very savvy, very dedicated, very strong-willed person, but a lot of people are not like that, and they are just not going to listen to you unless you give them a reasonable goal. So that's my job, to get my patients. So I may start with them 45 grams, I may get them to goal, get them some motivation, and then we can try to cut their carbs even more. Again, that depends on the individual, but we sometimes get patients to find them different recipes, find them different ways to eat, and they enjoy it, and they do it. I think it takes a lot of motivation, a lot of coaching. That's why at Sugar MDs, what we do is we just coach a lot. We stay in touch bidirectionally, texting, voicemail, phone call, video call, whatever you name it. So we kind of stay on top of them all the time. We see their numbers remotely all the time. That's another thing, without having them to do anything, just that they do a finger stick or use a CGM, and we can see their number all the time. So that's why our patients do really well. Now, I call this accountability. When people feel accountable, they feel supported, motivated, then they do well. But anyway, so next thing is I'm going to give you another example. A man who has a very active job, a very physical job, and he is 35. He has type 1.5 diabetes. He is on one long-acting insulin and 2 oral agents. So type 1.5 diabetics do not end up on insulin right away. So though this individual is doing well, and he also goes to gym 5 times a week, and he works out 1 hour on those 5 days. So I tell this individual that, my conservative goal for you could be as low as 30 grams of carbs if you want to go really low carb and reduce the number of medications. But if you are very active and you're working out, you must have carbohydrates. This is what your muscles are burning. If you do not eat any carbs, you're going to have significant fatigue with exercise. And exercise has many benefits. I know there are a lot of keto people out there, and they think that the carbs are poison for you. That's not true. You have to have some healthy carbs in your body to make sure that you have enough fuel source for your exercise, because exercise will help your cholesterol, etc. Those people who eat fat all the time and not exercise, I don't think they're looking for a very great heart outcome or great cholesterol. But the bottom line is, you want to have some healthy carbs, minimum 30 grams if you're very active and exercising 5 times a week and so forth. But if you are really athletic and you're early diabetic and you are physically active, and you can try eating 45 up to 60 grams for a man like that, and you can still be very fit, you can still be controlling your blood sugars very well, even if you have diabetes, just because you are physically very active. So my limit for a man who is active, it will be 60 grams to 75 tops. For a woman, my maximum carbohydrate recommendation is 45 grams. Again, that depends on, you're looking for, from a carbohydrate eating standpoint, you're looking for a percentage of total caloric intake. So if you want to be on the low carb side, you may go down to 30% of your total calories. If you want to be on the more more generous side, because you're physically active, you may go up to 35-40% of your total calories as carbs. Again, the basic thing to understand if you want to keep your blood sugar under control is eating healthy carbs and being physically active. So if you're not physically active, then your goals are down to 15-20 grams for women and less than, I would say 45 grams for sure for men, and 60 to 75 is for men who are very, very active. So again, like let's say you're a 60-year-old man, retired, you're mostly at home, especially with this virus going on, you're not doing anything, you don't want to go outside, etc. Although you can exercise at home, but this is a good excuse not to exercise, right? So if you're not exercising, if you're not doing much, and you're already overweight or obese, then you should really not eat more than 45 grams at all. And if you want to really control your diabetes with less medications, then you should go 30 grams or below per meal. Again, you can find a lot of carbohydrate alternatives for eating. So you can definitely avoid things with flour and high carb. Actually, if you avoid refined sugars and carbohydrates that are in the market today, you will have much limited options from natural sources. So it's going to be much less effect on your blood sugars. But that is my rule of thumb, as I described. And then sometimes, for people who are like really frail, they're already losing weight, and they're very advanced age. As we discussed in the previous video, I'm not super strict with their blood sugars. I let them go to 150 in the morning, up to 200 after meals for those older individuals, and I don't restrict them too much because they don't have a good appetite to begin with. Cancer patients, for example, we limit their carbohydrates because sugar really drives your cancer cells. But if you are like really losing too much weight and you really are not looking to cure this cancer, you're only in it to have another couple of months. Really, there's no point of torturing these people with low carbs. I just tell them, hey, if your cancer doctor said that the chances of recovery from this cancer is nothing, then maybe just enjoy your life. If you have metastases all over your body and you're already on chemo, you don't even have an appetite, I'm not going to give you a diet. That's just stupid to begin with. So we don't want to really do anything like that. But the majority of the time, most diabetics fall into the previous category that we discussed. I hope that video is helpful, and we'll see you in the next video. Make sure you give a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you get us to 30,000 subscribers so we can start doing real life patient cases. Have a wonderful day.